Okay, good morning. I am going live. It's Allie here. Deb, unfortunately, is under the weather. So you get me. How fortunate. So I titled this Embracing Change and Pivoting. How timely, because here I am. Last minute, obviously, Deb is under the weather. So let's just like send her healing light. And I have felt like there's been so many things in my life right now where it's like change, pivot, do this. And how are we going to embrace it? Because let's face it, in life, we're always changing, we're always in motion. Like there is no stability, there is no constant, there is no just vibration of like settleness. And I say that in the most granular and macro way. Like we are human beings, everything is in motion when we think of energy. So if you're looking for stability and things to always go smoothly, it's that time to surrender and say, you know what, it's just not going to happen that way. So how do you embrace change? First of all, I think that there's a lot of expectations, there's lots of hopes and dreams, and by all means, keep on dreaming, keep on setting those goals. However, maybe just surrender to the process, surrender to what you always think that things should be, and embrace the universe to things and how they could be. So let's use a great for instance. As you know, Deb and I are both coaches. We're getting support with our businesses. And over last week, I got huge news of how I could change and enhance my business model to really speak to the woman that I am and support people in the space that I'm most familiar with, which is corporate. And I know that I've had a lot of just resistance to, get back into the corporate. And yet there's an element of which I thrive, in which I know about corporate. I know the ins and outs. That's where I spent a lot of my 20s and 30s. So why wouldn't I coach to peak performance, to flow, to getting that elevated state of consciousness with teams and groups and be able to see companies thrive? So that was a huge thing of just like, this entrepreneurial dream isn't exactly how I imagined, yet it still feels right in my soul. So it's taking bits of information and first discerning them. Like things are going to change. So like taking a moment to digress and listen and feel like, okay, what is right? Or feel those emotions or sleep on it. It depends on how big of that change is. We're also looking at getting a new place. So that's going to be another change. And I've also had some, I think, resistance because it's not only a change in like, okay, our environment as our home is changing, what area in Toronto would we want to live in? How is it going to suit the kids? And there's just so many things, and there's people going through our house. So in the midst of all this change and pivot and dreaming, I really hope you don't stop to dream and think of if things are going this way and that's where you want them, and all of a sudden they're going in the other direction, that's failure. Or maybe that you didn't do something enough. It's just a matter of this is feedback on where life and the universe is going to direct you. So it's letting go of that. And there could be a time of like, you just have to grieve, or you just have to kind of sit with the emotions of like, you know what, this just isn't what I anticipated. And that's okay. Because when one door closes, we know that it gives energy for another door to open. So keep in that mind, like you're going to be flowing with energy. It could be friendships. It could be that new job that you want. It could be that project that you're working on, that client that you really want, and just something isn't working. And that's okay. Because hindsight's always 2020. When you look back, you could see like, oh my goodness, I can see why that one opportunity or this didn't work and how this is actually flourishing, though maybe you needed those steps along the way to get some new skills, to meet people that would catapult you in that new direction. So when you're thinking of change and pivoting, it's allowing yourself to embrace the unknown. Because going back to the start of this conversation, that stability just, it isn't there. And especially after COVID, all of us, all of humanity can understand that life can change like that. And things can quickly evolve. Digital transformation happened, work from home very quickly, how we did and how we worked with things, our mindsets. And now we're integrating back. So what does that look like? How can you change the way that you've been doing things and maybe get back to a different style that you want to create with your company, with your coworkers, because we're meant to connect. So with change and pivoting, how can you embrace the nuances and enjoy a bit more of the journey? Because amidst all of the different chaotic energy, there's a lot of beauty that can be just enjoyed and embraced. Now we're talking about a lot of high energy this morning, and I feel like I'm on high energy. I'm running late for this thing. Zoom, for all you people who might stream, has different menu settings that I didn't know existed. So I was Googling and figuring that all out. So here we are live. And again, I was just going with it. And are you going to give up? Are you going to surrender to the process? Are you going to move forward? Because that's important to kind of understand as well, okay? So with that, I just want you to take that like high energy piece in to your week and say, okay, things are going to happen, maybe with the kids or with work and colleagues. And it's allowing yourself to like recognize that change is part of the process, that you can embrace it, that you can still have fun with it, that you can still laugh at the silly things, because we all know at some point we will. And then also, how do we add some like calmness? Because we want to think of polarities. Life is all polarities. Like you got up, you got down, we have night, we have sunlight. So how, with all this change and great energy, can we add some calmness and some rest and some recovery to help with the stress? And that, I think, is a critical piece that you need to take away as well for this week, is giving yourself and honoring yourself that time, just maybe to journal out things that aren't working or your frustration and anger, and just recognize where that's directed to. And when you're going into it, just like allow anything to come through, because it's really magical what you can bring up when you're journaling. Breath work, meditation, anything that's going to calm yourself down. I enjoy hot yoga. Sometimes that's frustrating too, but at the end of the session, like it's just something that soothes me. Maybe it's stretching, going outside, going for a walk, talking to someone that really gets it or can be that sounding board. Maybe not to have more opinions and ideas, just someone that can listen. So it's out, and then you can sleep a little bit more easily. So again, you're going to have this high energy. Change is going to happen. You're going to embrace it. And you can gracefully with some deep rest and recovery, journaling, your meditations. There's tons of guided meditations out there. We're going to be creating more. Breath work, breathing deeply, and even breathe deeply with me right now. When you breathe in, imagine that the air is just going right down to your belly. You want to breathe completely, fully. And then when you exhale, sometimes it's just great to let it out with a sigh. Let out all that air. Close your eyes. When you close your eyes, it kind of takes away from the environment and everything around you, so you can go inwards and just let yourself know that it's going to be okay. That whatever the world's throwing at you, whatever business meeting you've got going on, whatever change is happening, all of it's going to be okay. And you have that opportunity even to take a moment. And I know sometimes moments are hard to come by, especially if you're working and there's a million things. I suggest go to the washroom. Say you need a break. You can just sit there. You could go outside, walk around the block, or sit on a park bench. Do something that's just going to help you for a moment, because when you have that moment of calmness, that moments can sometimes bring you the best clarity of those steps moving forward. And last and not least, I'd recommend great night sleeps are always helpful. Again, especially when life is throwing so many things at you. How can you nourish your body, your mind, and your soul, and get that good night's rest? Because your mind is like that big supercomputer, right? Like you're on your computer right now, you're watching me, you're like, okay, I kind of get it. And you know, when you have so many tabs open and your computer is starting to slow down and you're frustrated because you have all this work to do, and then it's like crashing and you can see the ticks and things and bobs that are coming at you. And because of the computer too is so busy, it's overloaded. And then on top of that, imagine it needs a reset. It needs a defrag. That's kind of what you do at night. Imagine you're closing off all the tiny browsers. You're allowing the start, restart, oh, updates ready. Let's do a big update. And as it's updating, that's what's going on at night. Your mind is updating. You've closed down all those browsers because at that point at night, whatever you're worrying about, whatever's on your mind and your heart is not going to get solved while you're sleeping. So maybe allow yourself to, again, journal at night, say, okay, these are some of my problems, ask for solutions. Okay, where would I want to live? What is the best step for this next business move? How can I schedule in things throughout the day? Like ask and be curious and see what comes up. So who knows, it's spring, things are happening. I gave you a lot of information today on our live, and I think that's just where the vibe of my day and my last week was ending. And again, I can feel the energy of spring. It's start of April. It's maybe a start of a new quarter for you at work. So how can you embrace this change? Embrace if things are maybe falling out or they weren't going as planned, and enjoy a bit more of the journey. And also sit back and like have some calmness in your days. So this week, how can you make light of change? Start embracing this pivot and know that there's something great coming up. And then as well, make a goal this week to do something to honor yourself, that self-care, that self-love we talk about all the time, and just allow it to be. So with that, I hope you have a beautiful week. Happy Monday out there, and love your comments, your feedback on this episode or anything else that we're doing, because then that will help us move forward. That gives us ideas of how we can continue to make content. And of course, like and subscribe if you want to hear more. Deb and I usually go live every Monday at 8, and our podcast release every Thursday at 11. So please like, comment, share if you found this valuable. We really hope that we are creating content that supports you to move forward, to get more of what you want, to live this life with a little bit more ease and grace. So with that, I'm signing off. I've got the whole day to embrace of change and planning, and I'm excited to share more of it on my journey, and I know Deb will be too, and as we merge together to create more great content. And on the flip side of that, catch us on Thursday when we drop this month. It's all about that self-care. So we're going to put out a schedule of things that can help you really sort into this new spring energy and create wellness in your life. Because wealth is health when we look at it. If you're down and out, are you going to be playing at your best? So we want to really encourage like these great sustainable ways that you can create health and wellness. And of course, it's going to translate into the wealth and the dreams that you desire. So I'm Allie. Thanks for listening. And I am so excited for this month and everything that we're going to create. Embrace the change, have some fun with it. And then as well, give yourself a little slack. Have some time to yourself.